Hi everyone! In this video, we'll be checking the sentence addition question type. What does the question type look like? This looks like this. You're gonna have a paragraph. Sometimes it will be a mix of two paragraphs, and you're gonna have 4 black squares. You will also be given a sentence. Okay, like the sentence is not given here. And your goal is to locate in which of these 4 black squares the sentence should be. Okay. Remember the previous question type we covered was the reference question. The reference question is important because that question will help us to solve this one. Okay, so what should we do? We're going to read the question. Remember, we always read the question first to determine what question type we're dealing with. We're going to look for reference and transitions. Don't worry, I'm going to expand on this idea too, but remember, this is why the previous question type is important. We're going to look for mistakes of flow, and we're going to eliminate wrong choices. Okay, so what we shouldn't do, we're not going to understand the whole text. We're not going to do it by what sounds good. And this is very important. We will be in this question type, we'll be tempted to choose one just because it sounds good to us, or just because that's the way we will write it. Be very careful. Okay, this is one of the question types in which we're basically going to look for mistakes. Basically, the way we're going to solve this is by choosing mistakes. Okay, we're not going to autocorrect, we're not going to be unspecific, and we definitely don't want to break the flow. I'm also going to explain to you what do I mean by breaking the flow. Okay, basically the 3 things that we're going to focus on, we're going to fixing a mistake, we're going to focus on not creating a mistake, and we're going to focus on grammatical flow. What do I mean by this? Again, I told you that there are 4 black squares and that the sentence goes in one of those. So let's say I have my sentence and my sentence looks like this. So I'm going to try it out. So I'm going to try it in the first case, in the first square, and I'm going to look for the 3 things. So am I fixing a mistake? Am I creating a mistake? Am I creating or fixing grammatical flow? Those are the 3 things that we're going to focus on. And we're going to look for these 3 things in all of the black squares. So we're going to go to the first black square and see if I'm creating a mistake or I'm fixing a mistake. If I'm breaking the flow or I'm creating flow. Again, don't worry, I'm going to completely explain what I mean by fixing a mistake, creating a mistake. So when we fix a mistake, it means that if I don't add this sentence here, okay, there will be a mistake from going to this sentence to the following sentence. And mistakes can be in many different forms. There can be a reference mistake, which means I have a reference without a reference. Like I have a word like he or she without a previous word or without a previous reference. Okay, I may have a transition mistake in which I have the word for example and there's no example. Okay, I may have just a change in the subject mistake. I may have many different mistakes. Okay, in order to know whether I'm creating or fixing a mistake or not, I'm going to mainly focus on 2 things. I'm going to focus on reference, okay, and transitions. Those are the main things I'm going to focus on. Sometimes I will focus on other things, like a list. Like if the first sentence is making a list and say 1, 2, or this is the first one, this is the second one, and then the next sentence says this is the 4th one, I'm missing the 3rd one, so I'm obviously going to correct it by putting the 3rd one in the middle. When we focus on not creating a mistake, we're also going to not create a mistake of references and transition. And believe it or not, when we talk about grammatical flow, we mostly are also talking about reference and transition. Okay? And transition words. Now, reference, we're going to use the same theory we used for the reference question before, singular with singular, plural with plural, who with people, that with things. What there refers to a place, like everything we just saw in the previous question type, it will be also applied here in this question type. Now, the transition words are a new thing that we haven't mentioned before. Now, this means that if I have a transition word, I'm expecting a relationship between those 2 sentences. For example, if I have a contrast transition word, like a however, or nevertheless, or unlike, or just in contrast, there has to be a contrast. For example, I wouldn't say today is Monday, however, tomorrow is Tuesday. Okay, like if I have this, I'm going to write it here, like today is Monday, and then however, tomorrow is Tuesday. If you notice, in this case, the however is a mistake, right? Because there is no contradiction between being Monday today and being Tuesday tomorrow. Actually, it is what we expect. If one day is Monday, we expect the following day to be Tuesday. So if I have a however and then I have a black square here, I know that this sentence shouldn't be here, right? Like I couldn't make, or if I have another black square here, right? That's actually more common than having a black square here. So if I have a black square here, however, like I know these two sentences shouldn't be together. So here I have a mistake. So I have to include another sentence in order to fix this mistake. Now let's pretend that this sentence that I just underlined in green is the sentence that I'm that is in the question. Like this is the sentence that I'm looking for to put in one black square. So I wouldn't put it here because I will be creating a fake contrast. Like there is no contrast between today being Monday and tomorrow being Tuesday. The same thing applies to all of these transition words. If I say therefore, I expect that to be a consequence. I wouldn't say tomorrow is Monday, therefore the Earth is the third planet closest to the sun. Like there's no consequence there, right? So I wouldn't put two sentences that have no consequence joined by a word that implies consequence. And the same thing goes for all of my linking words. So furthermore, first, for example, similarly, etc. Okay, these are usually what we mean with the flow. Okay, yes, we mean reference, but most importantly, we mean the transition words. Okay, we mean like if there's a contrast, the two sentences should be giving contrasting information. If there's a conclusion, the two sentences should be giving concluding information. Like I don't want to break the flow. I want to create flow. I'm not breaking the flow. Okay, now we're going to go to practice. I want you to look at this sentence. Again, this is the sentence that we're going to try to insert, and these are the 4 scores. I'm going to give you 1 full minute to try to give me an answer, okay? Go. Okay, time's up. I hope you have an answer. We're still going to check. So we're going to apply this strategy. Okay, how do we solve this? We first check the sentence and we check for keywords. Remember, we're always going to check for keywords. In this case, our keywords are going to be pronouns, all the possible reference, and transition words, right? So we're going to start with checking the pronoun they, and then we check for all the words or the nouns, the plural nouns that this may be referring to. So I have a plural noun here, I have plural noun here, a plural here, another plural here, and a plural here, right? And then we look for transition words like therefore, for example. Again, remember, we're not going to look for all the text, just in the cases that are close to the scores. Why? Because here I have another this, I have another reference there, but this is not near a black square, so I'm not going to take it into account. Okay, I'm only going to take into account the words, the reference, and the transitions that are near the black squares. Okay, so I have the sometimes. Okay, which means I'm about to give a specific of cases. I have a besides, and that's pretty much it, right? I don't have anything else. Okay, now we're going to check the black boxes one by one. Okay, what happens to the first black box? Again, I have the reference day. Okay, my previous if I put this sentence in the first black box, the word they will be referring to my previous plural noun, which is conditions. Now, this is very important. The word they in this position does have a reference. The reference is the word condition. It's not that I don't conditions. It's not that I don't have a reference for the word they. I do have a reference. The reference is conditions, but it's not the correct reference, because if I do this, whenever I have a reference, I will replace in the word conditions here. And now I'm saying like conditions may be blown off course by storms or maybe escaping population pressures in their home areas. So I'm saying that the conditions are blown off course, and I'm saying the conditions are escaping populations, and I'm saying that conditions have home areas, which is not correct. Again, it's grammatically correct because this is a plural noun, and plural noun is conjugated with the correct pronoun, is conjugated with the correct verbs, but it's not logically correct. So it's not letter A. We're going to check for the second square. If I go to the second square, I will be saying that the word they is referring to accidentals. So accidentals, and what are accidentals? Accidentals are the birds that appear in places far from the native areas. Okay, so I'm talking about a bird, or sorry, birds in plural. Okay, good. So now I'm saying I'm going to replace this with birds, or accidentals. So birds may be blown off course by storms, and birds may be escaping population, and birds have their home areas. Okay, that's good. It makes logical sense. It makes grammatical sense. I'm going to keep it there. Okay, this may be my answer. I'm going to check it like maybe my answer. I'm going to go to the third square. If I go to the third square, this word they has only one reference, the other word they, and this word they is also referring to birds, so I'm still going to replace it with birds, and now I'm saying the same thing. Birds may be blown off course, may be escaping populations, and they have home areas, which is perfectly grammatically and logically correct. That can also be my answer. I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to go to the fourth square. What happens in the fourth square? In the fourth square, the word they is referring to this word they, and this word they is referring to the gardeners, right? The only word, the previous plural noun that this is referring to is the gardeners. So now I'm replacing this with gardeners, and I'm saying that the gardeners may be blown off course by storms or may be escaping population on their home areas, which is not logically correct. Again, it's grammatically correct, but it's not logically correct. Okay, so we're left with B and C. Sorry. Yeah, we're left with B and C because both are logically and grammatically correct. So far, we have only used the reference strategy. So far, we have only focused on the word they and eliminated A and D just based on the reference strategy. Okay, so both make grammatical sense, both make logical sense. So how do we know whether it's B or C? I'm actually going to just use one of the screens because this will be unnecessary to go back and forth. Okay, so how do we know whether it's B or C? If they both make grammatical sense and they both make logical sense, it's time to move to the flow, to the grammatical flow, to the transitions word. Remember at the beginning, I also highlighted the word sometimes. Okay, so here it's about the flow, the order of the events that are occurring. If I put it in B, okay, if I put it in B, actually, let me go here. Okay, if I put it in B, I'm saying that the birds appear places far from the native areas, and then I'm saying that the birds are blown off course or maybe escaping populations, and then they find a habitat, like a different habitat, and they colonize the different habitat. Okay, that's good. That's perfectly fine. What happens if I put it in C? If I put it in C, I'll be saying that they first appear in places far from the native areas. Then they find a habitat, another habitat that is not their home, and then colonize it. And then they are blown off course by storms or escaping pollution from their home areas. But then I'm creating a problem because they already found a habitat. They already found a habitat different from their own places. So why would I be talking about being blown off course again? So in this case, I'm no longer focused on the reference, which makes sense, which makes grammatical and logical sense. I'm focusing on the transitions. I'm focusing on what happens first. And logically, it should be like this. Logically, it should first be blown off course, and then sometimes maybe finding a habitat with favorable conditions. Okay? And that makes my answer B. Okay. So remember, we're going to focus on reference and transition words. We're going to try to solve everything by reference and transitions. And do not focus on the general story. We don't care to, remember, I've been telling you all through all the videos that we don't really care to comprehend the whole idea, the whole information that the text is providing. That is especially so here. Why? Because we're getting confused. We are going to try to choose what we will write. We will choose in what sounds good, but that's not it. What we're going to do is want to focus on mistakes. And the way to solve it is first solve the mistakes, and whatever doesn't have a mistake, whatever, remember, we're focusing on, I'm going to go back here. Remember, we're focusing on basically three things: fixing a mistake, not creating a mistake, and grammatical flow. And whatever is fixing a mistake or not creating a mistake or creating grammatical flow, that will be our answer. Okay, now you want to practice one more. You're going to do exercise 7.1 for the Thompson exercise. I'm going to show you what this looks like. This looks like this. You will have the sentence, and then you will have the 4 blanks, and then you're just going to choose one. Same here. Have the sentence. You will have an additional picture, but don't worry, that gives zero information. Then you will have the paragraph, and then you're going to choose one. You don't have the multiple choice. You don't have A, B, C, D, but this will be corresponding like A, B, C, D. I just mark it. That doesn't mean that is the answer, by the way. I'm just marking one randomly to show you what you should do. Remember to write your answers in a piece of paper, or preferably in a notebook, and then check with the answer key that is also provided in the folder. So I hope you liked this video. I hope you found it useful. Remember to like and subscribe, and share it with someone you think may need it or may have a good use for it. You can also type some questions in the comments, and I will check them. Okay, so see you in the next video. Bye.